The rain fell in thick sheets, drumming against the cobblestone streets of Manhattan. Evelyn Carter tightened her coat around herself as she rushed across the quiet avenue, her high heels clicking rapidly. She had stayed late at the gallery again, lost in work, unaware that the night had grown this dark, this cold. She hated walking home alone at this hour, but tonight, something felt different. A presence. She wasn't sure how, but she felt someone watching her. As she turned the corner, she saw him, standing beneath the flickering glow of an old street lamp. A tall man in a dark coat. His face was shadowed, but his stance was familiar, as though she had seen him before, though she couldn't recall where. Then, as if sensing her thoughts, he took a step forward. "Evelyn," he said, his voice deep, intimate. She froze. He knew her name. "Who are you?" she asked, keeping her distance. His lips parted as if he was about to speak, but just then, the loud screech of tires ripped through the air. A black car came speeding toward her, too fast, too close. Before she could react, strong hands gripped her waist, yanking her back just in time. The car sped past, splashing water onto the sidewalk, disappearing into the night. Evelyn's breath came in quick gasps, her heart slamming against her ribs. She turned to the man who had saved her. "That car," she started, but he cut her off. "It wasn't an accident," he said. "They were after you." Evelyn stepped back. "Who are you?" The man hesitated, then sighed. "It's complicated." She studied him, her mind racing. He looked vaguely familiar, his strong jawline, the piercing gray eyes. But no matter how hard she searched her memory, she couldn't place him. "Try me," she challenged. He exhaled sharply. "My name is Adrian. And we've met before." Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "I don't think so. I would remember you." Adrian gave her a pained smile. "You did, once. But something happened. Something neither of us could control." Her stomach twisted. "What do you mean?" Before he could answer, his gaze flicked to something over her shoulder. His expression hardened. "We need to go. Now." "Why?" He grabbed her hand and pulled her into the alley just as another black car crawled down the street. The tinted windows sent a chill through her. "Who are they?" she whispered. "The same people who took you away from me before," he said, his grip tightening. "And I won't let 'em do it again." They ran until they reached a small cafe tucked between two buildings. Adrian led her inside, choosing a secluded corner table. Evelyn's hands trembled as she wrapped them around a warm cup of coffee he ordered for her. She didn't understand any of this. "You said we've met before," she said slowly. "But I don't remember." Adrian looked at her, something soft and aching in his gaze. "Because they erased your memories, Evelyn. 5 years ago." Her breath hitched. "That's impossible." He reached into his coat and pulled out a small, worn photograph. Evelyn hesitated before taking it. Her fingers trembled as she recognized herself in the picture. She was smiling, her head tilted slightly against Adrian's shoulder. They looked happy, in love. But she had no memory of this. None at all. "I don't understand," she whispered. "How could someone erase my memories?" Adrian ran a hand through his dark hair. "You and I, we weren't supposed to be together. Not according to them." "Who?" "The people who control fate." She let out a small, disbelieving laugh. "That's ridiculous." Adrian leaned forward. "I know how it sounds. But you and I were meant to be together. And because of that, we became a threat." "A threat?" He nodded. "Some people believe fate should never be altered. That once a life is set on a path, it must stay that way. But you and I, we challenged that." Evelyn's mind spun. "You're saying we loved each other so much that we, what? Broke fate?" "Yes," he said simply. And in his eyes, she saw the truth. Evelyn's head ached with the weight of everything he was telling her. It was impossible. And yet, she felt something deep in her chest. A strange warmth. A pull toward him. "How do I know you're telling the truth?" she whispered. Adrian reached across the table, gently brushing his fingers against her wrist. The second he touched her, a shock of warmth surged through her, and suddenly, she saw it. Flashes of a past she didn't know she had. A kiss beneath the Eiffel Tower. Dancing in the rain. Whispered secrets in the dark. Adrian holding her close, saying he would never let her go. Evelyn gasped, jerking her hand away. You remember, Adrian said softly. Tears filled her eyes. It's real. A sudden crash outside made them both turn. Adrian's expression darkened. We need to leave. Now. Before she could protest, he pulled her to her feet. We have to finish what we started, Evelyn, he said. We have to reclaim our fate. The next 24 hours were a blur. Evelyn and Adrian traveled to a hidden sanctuary, where others who had been erased gathered. People who, like them, had been torn apart by the unseen forces controlling fate. She learned the truth, how she and Adrian had once tried to escape, to carve their own destiny. But in doing so, they had angered those who ensured the world followed its predetermined path. They had taken Evelyn's memories to keep her from choosing Adrian again. But fate, true fate, had brought them back together. And this time, they wouldn't run. They would fight. Standing in an old church, surrounded by candlelight, Evelyn reached for Adrian's hand. I remember, she whispered. His breath hitched. And do you still? She didn't let him finish. Instead, she pulled him close, capturing his lips with hers. And in that moment, she knew. No force in the world, no power, no law of fate, could ever keep them apart. Because love was the only fate that truly mattered. And she would fight for it. Until the very end.